Okay, so this time I have a few updates about my PuzzleScript tooling that I've been working on, which I'm now calling Super PuzzleScript. Maybe I was calling it that last time, I don't really remember. But yeah, Super PuzzleScript. So the updates are, the first one is about, I've been working on trying to get it towards the kind of user experience that I want it to have when you're like starting a new game and like running that game and everything. Trying to work towards what that would actually look like. So that's meant building a CLI tool to be able to, create a new project and then run it. Second thing is some of the kind of online material that I've been making, like the website and setting up the GitHub org and things like that. There's only like one repository, or at least one meaningful repository in the GitHub org at the moment. And then finally is that meaningful repository, which is the wrapper package, the PuzzleScript wrapping package that I've now published to npm, so you could install it and use it, and I've got documentation about using it. It's not really intended that people use it directly. I expect people to use the CLI instead at some point when that's available, but it's there, and I guess I'll show how it works and how you can start using it if you really wanted to. But anyway, to start off with, let's do the CLI stuff, like what I expect it to be like when you're actually making a game with Super PuzzleScript. So, assuming I've already installed the CLI, whatever process that is, I haven't figured that out yet. I've made a directory here called game. It's got nothing in it. Let's just double check. Yeah, there's nothing here. I can run Super PuzzleScript init. Ask me for a title. Let's do my cool game. Joseph Mansfield is the author. And then there's a bunch of templates that I currently have available. Empty is just like, there's no objects defined, no rules, nothing. And then basic eyeball and match 3 are 3 of the examples from the PuzzleScript site. I've just copied them basically and sort of split them up into separate files. You'll see that in a second. So I'll start with the basic one. So as you can see, what I did is it populated my directory with a couple of things. One is this Super PuzzleScript config file, which is just a JSON file with my title and my author that I set before. Eventually this will have more configuration, but for now it just has those in it. And then next to that is the source directory, which for now I've made it split up the source into like separate files for each section. So there's like a level section and a legend, etc. I don't know whether it should really do that, at least for these like really basic examples, because like rules has like one rule in it. Objects, I guess objects kind of make sense. There's like 5 things in here. Sounds is like tiny. I guess it kind of gives a good example of how you might end up splitting it up, especially with larger projects. It makes sense to start doing this. But yeah, it's all split up like this, and the reason that works is because it's doing if you notice the NJK extension at the end, it's using Nunjucks, the templating engine, to compile this all together. So if you check main, which is the one that actually runs, you'll see it just like includes each of those sections. And the prelude at the beginning is being generated from the stuff in the config file. Magic. Okay, so it put all that there. I didn't have to write any of that myself. Then I do PuzzleScript run, and in theory, project is running at localhost 8080. So if I open this in my browser, ta-da! My Cool Game by Joseph Mansfield. Oh, I should have like reset the game. Whatever, doesn't matter. This is the second level in the game. But yeah, it's working. Oh, and of course, because it's being built using Webpack and it's like watching the files that are in the source directory, I can, in fact, let me get that browser back so it's visible. I can go to, for example, objects, and then let's change the player's trousers to red. That's my go-to example. And you'll see it auto refreshes the game. If I jump back in, ta-da, trousers are red. So just changing the file in my local directory changed the game, and it reloaded. Awesome. I guess, why not? Blue hair. Hey, that's kind of weird, but why not? So, Okay, so that's sort of that. That's the CLI that I'm building, super PuzzleScript command. Right now, it doesn't do much more than that. I've just been working towards getting the basic, like, what are the in the completely most common situation, what commands would a person run to be able to use super PuzzleScript to build a game? And so I've basically just done that. It's not actually available anywhere yet. You can't just. I mean, I haven't even put the source on GitHub or anything. Maybe I will pretty soon, but even then, I've got plenty to figure out around like how do you actually publish a CLI properly. And I mean, I've done that a few times for work things, but this is a little bit different in some kind of complicated ways. So yeah, there's basically some things I need to figure out before that's going to be available. But at least now I know I can have this like kind of neat sequence of actions that a person can go through to set things up, which is pretty cool. So next thing, what was part 2 on the agenda? It was the online stuff. So let's go back to my browser. So there's a website, yay, superpuzzlescript.github.io. Super-PuzzleScript. I've gone for that as the naming convention everywhere. I kind of prefer it to like super PuzzleScript as one word. Whatever. So the website, it's kind of funky and vibrant. There's not much there. There's the getting started says coming soon. I've basically just put it here as a placeholder because I had a few other places that needed to link to a website, and so I was like, okay, let's put something together just so that if you follow the link, you end up somewhere. So this is what I've done. It looks pretty cool, I think. The logo, I guess I was thinking, what would the PuzzleScript mascot look like if it was super? I guess I went with glowing and exploding in rainbow. Why not? And then if you head down, there's a few notes around here about like what it does and what it is going to do eventually. At least what I plan for it to do eventually. But if you can read through that, but there's also a development section that links through to GitHub. So I've set up a GitHub org with all of the existing repositories in, which so far is 2, the website and PuzzleScript, which is my wrapping, is my like JavaScript package, which wraps PuzzleScript itself, which I'll go into now, I guess. I guess that's all of part 2. Yeah, okay. Part 3 of this update is this particular package, which is now published to NPM. So I'm going to jump over to the NPM page here. So it's PuzzleScript as a JavaScript module. Compile and run PuzzleScript games through a simple JavaScript API, enabling development in an alternative environment to the PuzzleScript editor. And so, as I said earlier, this package is available. It's not really intended to be used directly, but it can be. I've built everything in such a way that you know, if you wanted to break it down into the individual components and use them individually, you can do. So what this means, I kind of showed this library in a previous video. I can't remember which one it was, but basically you can now using npm, you can install super PuzzleScript, and then assuming you have I don't know if you like are aware of how like module bundlers work in JavaScript, but if you've got one set up, you can then import that module and then have your window on load function, just like so the module exports a class PuzzleScript. You create an instance of that class, and then you do .compile with your source code. And if you bundle that using a module bundler like Webpack or whatever, you will get a JavaScript file that runs your code, and you can just stick that JavaScript file into, there's an example there. You could just stick that JavaScript file into a HTML document, and you'd be able to play your game. But I've also made it so that you don't necessarily, for those who don't know how Webpack works or other module bundlers, there's a kind of easier way to get started directly with this package, which is basically this section of the README with a script element. So the package becomes available on unpackage.com. I only really learned about this when I was doing this, but basically this site is like a CDN for serving files from npm packages. So my npm package contains the puzzlescript.min.js, and then unpackage.com just like serves it, acts as a cache basically. So if you wanted to, you could create a HTML page that just directly uses that, like my library from that address, from the unpackage.com address. You have to replace the XYZ with the actual version you want to use of the package, which currently there's only 0.1.0. And then you could write a script like this. In this case, we're not importing PuzzleScript, but just the inclusion of this script makes a global available called PuzzleScript. So you can just start using that class. So you can do new PuzzleScript, the same as before, puzzlescript.compile with your game code. And I've just left it like insert game code here. You have to fill that in. I guess we could do it. Let's try it. So let's copy that HTML. I'm just going to do it in the same directory as before. Let's make a new file. Let's just put that in. Let's get some game code. Let me grab it from PuzzleScript. Okay, let's grab that. Throw it in. Okay, so we've got some game code in there, just like thrown into the script tag in the HTML document. I don't know if you're familiar, but this is like a multi-line string. It's like a template string, but it supports doing multi-line strings in like newer JavaScript. So that's in there, and we're constructing PuzzleScript and then doing compile. I need to add that version number in to here. So it is 0.1.0. So we're fetching that particular version of this PuzzleScript wrapping library. Let's save it as index.htm, sure. And then in theory, if I just like open that, I'm so used to being on a Mac a lot of the time. Google Chrome stable index. There probably is a command like open on Ubuntu. I just don't know what it is. It looks kind of terrible because there's no styling and whatever, but and like by default, PuzzleScript does some weird things in the way it's set up. If you want it to look nice, you need to kind of put it in a fixed size div, and then in fact, you'll even notice there's a weird thing where it'll like start resizing the game. It's just the way it is. But hey, look, so just by doing that, setting up that index.html, the rest of the files in here don't matter at all. They're completely unrelated. They're from what we did before. I have an HTML file that imports the package using a script tag from unpackage.com. I've got the game code. Let's go down to the bottom, and then I'm just compiling that game code, and then it runs. Ta-da! And it all seems to work. Yeah, as you can see, the game seems to just get larger. So, but if you put it in a fixed div, like a fixed size div, it doesn't do that anymore. It's just a kind of weird quirk of the way PuzzleScript works. Anyway, that's basically it, I think. So feel free to start using that package now if you want to. If you kind of want to start, because like obviously now I can edit that game code in my text editor, although with no like syntax highlighting, it's not like great, and I'm not getting any of the benefits that I would get. Like I don't get any of the nunchucks templating or whatever. So I don't know why you'd want to do this now, but sure, if you really want to, go for it. So that package is both published to npm, but also it's on GitHub. So if you like notice there's any issues with it or whatever, I have not tried it on different platforms and things or different browsers. I think I tried it in Firefox and it was fine, but I haven't tried it in many browsers. If there are issues, feel free to raise them on the issues tab. I've got some of my own on there, or just like you can make modifications and submit them as pull requests. I would be happy to get those and sort that out. That's basically it, I think. Yeah. Okay. That's my update for this weekend. See you next time.